Welcome back. New Telegraph is next. Terrorists plan to attack Lagos, U.S., as ascribed to them. Expatriates, hotels, likely targets during Eid al-Fitr holidays. Security beefed up in Abuja. Critical national assets under surveillance. Well, this similar to the previous story we saw in Daily Times, but now with the New Telegraph, the story continues on page 2 of the paper. But let's go above the nameplate here. It's related to the banking industry. CBN directs bank employees to declare assets. It's the New Telegraph we're looking at, and you see that story at the top of the nameplate here. If CBN is asking bank employees to declare their assets, how do you see them actualizing this?
Maybe they have sent a bill to the National Assembly to give it the necessary legal instrument to demand for such details from an employee of a bank. I do not think that over time that has been the practice. Why this development? Maybe the CBN has more explanation to provide in this light. But I think over the next few days we're going to see reactions to it, and then we would seek legal interpretation to the action of the CBN. Do they have a right to, does an organization, does a bank have a right to insist that a staff indeed declares his or her assets? I think what CBN should look at is how to tackle the rising fraud cases in the banking
I think,
industry.
guys, we're done with Daily Times, so we're on the New Telegraph. Thank you.
It seems to be stuck there.
Yeah, it's okay.
But you remember they had said that the banks were going to be the next target now about this fight against corruption. So could this be maybe one of those baby steps towards ensuring that they tighten the news around banks?
Again, if they're going to do that, they will require a legal backing to do what they're doing. I do not think that any bank can compel a staff or a manager to indeed engage in asset declaration. It's strange for that. If the CBN feels or perceives that a particular set of staff of a bank, maybe they are fraudulent or they've corruptly enriched themselves, the CBN has a right to petition the EFCC or a relevant anti-corruption agency to initiate an investigation. But to begin to subject, I'm wondering how they're going to collate. You're talking about tens of thousands of bank staff. So how are you going to do that? And again, is there a legal backing to this action by the CBN?
Big question. Perhaps answers will follow suit subsequently. But look at this at the bottom strip. Controversy trails police recruitment. Northern forces take over process. Top officer sack raises dust. And this is on page 3.
Yeah, we all saw it coming. Whenever there is going to be a recruitment in any of the agencies of government, particularly the police, recently the prisons, we saw same with even immigration. These are sad reports. Why as a country and as a people, we can't just get things right. Why must somebody be employed simply because of where he comes from? Why can't people go in on the basis of merit? Because again, that is how we continue to suffer as a nation. We never really have the best, emerge during such recruitment processes. And then talking about the sack of the top officers, we all saw it coming. And earlier in the week, some other publications like ours had led with stories like rumbling in the police, because you can't expect this to happen and people don't raise concerns, because these are guys who have not committed any offense. Statutorily, they should either have served the country for 35 years or have attained the 60-year retirement age, and neither of these was reached, and suddenly you're asking them to retire. It will serve as a demotivation, to the officers who are coming, and yet you're fighting corruption. So how are you going to succeed? When a man goes home after work, and then while watching the TV that night, he sees a news, flash that he has been retired. And I mean, retirement is something you plan for. I mean, you work towards it, and then suddenly that happens. I can say this on camera. Some time ago, a similar thing happened, and that particular officer did not recover from it. He suffered stroke and died thereafter.
In the police?
Yes. Things like these should be discouraged. If they have committed any crime, if you want to take disciplinary actions against them, go ahead and do it. But you can't just wake up and say that these officers have been retired.
Considering how long this practice has been going on for, because it's almost expected these days that when somebody who maybe is of a much junior rank to the others, it is almost automatic that the
not
ones
exactly.
above.
Not exactly. We've seen at other times where that was not the case.
But usually that will be the case. I mean, especially in the military hierarchy.
With the police.
And the police.
Now we're dealing with the police here. With the police, that has not been the case. That has not been the case. Because promotion in the police is not like it is in the military. In the police force, it is over time. It's not been by way of seniority. It's always been by way of where you're from, how many people should be promoted, and so on. So some are promoted, some are not promoted. Only lately we've been saying everybody on a particular batch, in a batch move up, and then the other batch try to move up. But I think that Suleiman Abba was IGP. He had DIGs who were senior to him, and they worked under him.
Do you think that could be a problem? Because some people also think that could be a problem in terms of respect, in terms of hierarchy, in terms of, even the relationship that the IG could have with his DIGs if they were his seniors. Do you think that could be a problem in terms of the police command?
You see, once you are an AIG, you are a potential IGP. All right, and at that level, I do not think, because they know that it's a political appointment. It could have been you, it could have been me. Right. I mean, it could have been any one of us. So if one is picked, I think others shouldn't have a problem working with that individual. And if over time there is proof, there is evidence that a particular officer is not loyal simply because he has a problem with the fact that he was senior to you, then such officers. But in this case, that has not been established.
All right, let's move on. That wraps it up with a look at New Telegraph.
Vanguard has an interesting one here. We've seen the Avengers blowing up 3 more oil facilities, custom pegging import duty exchange rate at 282 naira to a dollar. But look at this one: how trafficked victims lose vital organs abroad. This is according to NAPTIP.
That's a new development. But we've been talking about the Avengers. I remember the last time I was here, we did talk about a news headline that said then that the president was setting up a special force. There was a special force to be deployed in the Niger Delta, and I remarked that what we need in Niger Delta is an engagement. Over the last few days, we've seen the new IGP visit Guaramatu, try to meet with the leaders of that community. We've seen, even before his removal as the GMD of NNPC, we saw the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Ibe Kachuku, try to engage the community. For me, the government must continue to do that.
That doesn't seem to be working. I mean,
it will work. Don't forget, before they started doing that, the government didn't suggest that it was willing to talk, and then it was like, let's meet on the battlefield. But since that engagement has started, I think that government should continue, to engage with the communities. And when they can have the confidence of the communities, the Avengers would know that it's a matter of time.
How soon do you think we can begin to see results? Because really what people want to see, and I'm sure what government is hoping to achieve, and even the community people, is results. We want electricity. We need revenue as a country. How soon do you think? Because these repairs will take time. They will also take money. How soon do you think we can begin to see results, for engagements?
Well, as soon as the government realizes that what must be done must be done. I remember saying here also that the government, instead of deploying guns and weapons, should deploy development. Should develop this region. Let's begin to see things happen. Take it local government by local government. And once the people see development, nobody, like they would say in our local interaction, is there anybody who would say that sugar, the taste of sugar is bitter? No. So engage them with development. The people would support you because you need information. You need information to fight militancy in the Niger Delta. And if the people, again, it should not be a case of us versus them. I remember also saying this. You must gain the confidence of the people. And as long as it will take you to gain that confidence, you must begin to work at it. Use development, use engagement, use dialogue, until you have the confidence of the people.
That's it with Vanguard. By the way, you can help yourself by looking at the back page. Quite an interesting one and a lovely picture you have on the back page of Vanguard Sports. That's it with Vanguard. We got the Guardian?
Oh, yes, we have the Guardian. Nigeria's Senate on trial. Ben Wabweze insists. Constitutional lawyer says executive breached constitution. Oh, those are very strong words coming from Nigeria's foremost constitutional lawyer. What do you make of it?
Many have said over time that the executive must allow the legislative arm of government to function as it is supposed to function, as provided for in the Constitution. Whether they like it or not, the interference is, for a foremost constitutional lawyer of the person of Ben Wabweze to be this categorical, is telling you that clearly what the executive is doing, and when we say the executive, the president is the face of the executive arm today, that it is against the Constitution, and when the president does anything that is unconstitutional, you know what that is. So in the coming days, we're likely going to see the lawmakers capitalize on this statement, and we may begin to hear some utterances that may suggest something not too interesting for the executive. But I think, we should allow the various agencies of government to function so that we can achieve the needed collective development, because that is what we need. The president has said, I know what Nigerians are going through. And so if we must engage, if we must begin to address these challenges, then you need to carry everybody along.
Well, the president is also speaking at Eid al-Fitr here. They have that story. Preaches tolerance, love, acknowledges rough times facing Nigerians. Turkish president facilitates with Nigeria. You have details on page 7. Church leaders warn lawmakers on Sharia bill. Did you hear anything about this? Buhari shouldn't make Nigeria an Islamic nation. It's a quote. Page 6 is where you find details.
Yeah, this has been over time, and there have been denials here and there. But again, just like it was with the grazing bill and all of that, a lot of things are happening on the floor of the various chambers of the National Assembly. And I think that there was a clip on social media. The current Assembly was taking a motion that it referred for second reading, where certain aspects of the Sharia law were to be enshrined in the Constitution, I think, or in the Criminal Code. I can't remember exactly. Again, these are serious concerns, and I think that the president must give attention, to these concerns and ensure that, we do not further create more division in the country. Coming from the elections.
Lawmakers, this is within the National Assembly.
Again, that's where, he's president of the country, all right? So he will not allow certain actions that could threaten the peace of the nation. So he has a liaison officer who interacts with the National Assembly, And that guy has to get to work immediately to ensure that some of these things, I mean, we have lobby groups. The president can also lobby to ensure that we keep these religious waters, as it were, calm in the country. Because coming from the elections, it didn't do us any good. And we can't afford to go that route again so soon.
All right,
So that'll be it for The Guardian.
Yeah, and that's where we also end today's review. Thank you for coming on. Sylvester Ebodaghe is the publisher, National Daily Newspapers. We will be back in just a moment, everyone. Join us again.